Hi, everybody, and welcome to another conversation on what we call Through the Noise. And today I managed to block Maggie's calendar for a quick chat session. For those of you who don't know her, she is the web and social media manager at Hyperproof. So, yes, we're going to be talking a lot about social media, which has been undermined over the years for, its effectiveness towards business outcomes. Firstly, thank you, Maggie, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you. I'm super excited.
Okay, so let's start right at the top. In B2B marketing, humor is often seen as risky or unprofessional. Why do you think this perception exists and is it still valid today?
Yeah, that's a great one. First of all, I don't think it's still valid today. I think that perception is pretty old-fashioned in my opinion. I think that there's this idea that buyers are only swayed by logic and data, but I think people forget that we're all still human and we all still relate to things. And if you don't think that person in your ICP isn't scrolling on TikTok at night looking for something to laugh about, then I think that you're wrong. So I think that's just a outdated perception.
I mean, I do agree because 13 years of being in B2B marketing and as an agency that actually does, kind of create content marketing and social strategies. One thing that we've always noticed is everybody is very risk averse when it comes to using memes or let's say even writing light-handed humor. Everybody is like, maybe that won't sit too well with our customers, but they're not even willing to experiment. And in the off chance that they do experiment, we've seen such good results that we're like, do you want to do this a little more frequently now so that you sound human? But yeah, the hesitance and the perception around using memes in marketing is absolutely sad.
I know, I agree.
So, from your experience, how does humor actually affect engagement, reach, or brand perception on social media? Any specific examples that you may have from Hyperproof, maybe?
Yeah, I think humor really stands out because it's so relatable. At Hyperproof, I have been very fortunate to be given a lot of trust and creative freedom in the way that I manage our social medias, which I'm so grateful for that trust because I get to experiment, like you're saying, I get to take risk. And we've actually seen that a lot of our more humor forward posts are our best performers. If you look at our feed, like the most recent one we did, Taylor Swift dropped an orange album, and orange is our brand color. So we actually went in and created a meme with our CISO being on the front and made it look like an album where it was like the life of a CISO. And that was like one of our best performers. And we've done a lot of like really funny like birthday card carousels or Valentine's Day card carousels that have just like funny one-liners on them that are relatable to our audience. And those are consistently posts that get like 50% engagement rate, like really, really just out of the park engagement rates. And it just, again, it just goes to show like people want that relatable content to engage with it.
Firstly, I think dream job that you've been given the creative freedom to, kind of experiment with what happens on social because I feel social media managers or marketers in general are like given so many set of guardrails and rules that they can't quite experiment with what
Yeah.
works, what does not, right? And I think you're right because with all the algorithm updates, that usual set of topics, it becomes really monotonous and gets boring. So I think that yes, that humor infused, like for instance, on my own LinkedIn, I use a lot of sarcasm every now and then.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing that I've noticed is initially I was very hesitant. I was like, everybody knows me as this person.
Yeah.
And, so maybe they want me to be nice and calm, but this person is also equal parts sarcastic. And I am usually like that with my team and my clients, right? And I'm like, how do I bring that, fuse that in a fun way? And the one thing that I did realize was it actually upped the engagement on all the content that I was posting.
Yeah.
Even if I was low key gaslighting people there, it was like it's working, it's
No, it
working.
does. And another thing we've noticed too is I am very thankful because coming into Hyperproof in our brand guidelines, like part of our voice is having like a little bit of humor and being a little bit more casual. So I was grateful to have, something that maybe wasn't as serious where I wasn't going to have to push back as hard on that. I mean, we've really seen it in our data. Like our follower growth has doubled over the last year. I've taken our followers from about K and we're about to hit 24. So you really see it in the way that we're leading with this humor first, relatable content. You see the results. And yeah, it's been really cool to come up with content and to actually see that it's working. So I feel really grateful.
I am actually going to share this particular clip with a lot of our clients so that they can give us some wiggle room when we say, hey, we want to post something trending or experiment, and hey, it works. It works. Here's proof. Here's proof.
Exactly.
Okay, so humor isn't just about jokes, right? And I think that took me a lot of time to understand that humor too had like a lot of categories. There's wit, there's irony, there's playful tone, even memes for that matter. How do you decide what kind of humor fits a brand voice without it feeling like it's too forced or it's too off brand?
Yeah. Kind of like I mentioned earlier, I was grateful because our the person who leads our brand had like such great brand guidelines already in place that included us being like a little bit witty and playful. And so I think that was easy to lean into that, but then also just going to people within our organization who have like the job title of our ICP and asking, is this relatable? Do you think this is funny? Like, can we lean on this sarcasm a little bit more? Is this maybe too, I always like to joke that I'm like the Gen Z girl going up to these people being like, hey, what if we did this? But being like, is this too Gen Z? Like, do you think this won't land? So I think it's a lot of just testing and trial and error. But I've found that even sometimes, like something that might be perceived as too Gen Z still performs really well. So I think you have to find what's best for your brand. But I think it's all in the testing process. And don't be scared to try because it might end up really working for you. So again, it's just a lot of experimentation and gut checks and running it by other people and making sure it's not, too out of line. But you also have to make sure it's not gonna land in the wrong way because there is that line with humor sometimes. Never want to do anything that's going to be perceived as like potentially offensive or anything like that. So always just doing a good gut check and then testing with your audience.
I think one ground rule that we started following with ourselves and then applied to some of our projects, right, was how the stakeholders speak. For
Yeah.
instance, if you go onto our website, you're always going to see that the language is very conversational, and that stems from me. Because I realized if my website is going to look too uptight, I don't speak like that. I practically don't speak to prospects like that. I don't speak to clients like that. I do not speak to, peers like that. I'm like, how does that add up? They're going to feel that they're talking to two very different folks. So I feel that also, key stakeholders, or let's assume the customer facing roles, how they speak or the
Right.
conversation that I think that also gives you a general idea of how much can you experiment with the humor or with the wit.
Exactly. Yeah, I totally agree. I think sometimes people, when you're speaking, they're like a lot more friendly, but then they try to like make their brand like very serious online. But I'm like, everything needs to be a consistent experience across the board, in my opinion. So that's a great point that you bring up.
So many teams right now, right? And we've seen like a lot of in-house teams and when they outsource social media marketing, they struggle because humor is also subjective, which is what you exactly mentioned as well. Humor has that very fine line of going absolutely wrong or going really, really well.
Yeah.
How can marketing teams align internally on what's funny while keeping it consistent for the audience?
Yeah, that's a great point. I think again, if you don't have brand guidelines, I think you need to align and be like you're saying, how do we talk to our customer? How are stakeholders talking? What do we want to be? How do we want to come across? And making that consistent. So I would start with that as step one is making sure you have like this is how we want to sound. This is what we want our voice to be in our brand and the tone to come across is, we want to be relatable, we want to be friendly. And so that kind of puts up a little bit of guidance for you as you start kind of building out your humor led strategy on social media. And then you can kind of put together like a playbook of what's kind of allowed or in bounds for you or what you want to try. Maybe you start with some memes, you figure out like for us what would be relatable to like a CISO, for example, testing that out and then just seeing what works. I think social media and a lot of marketing in general is a lot of experimentation, especially on organic channels. It's nice because it's not super costly to test and to try. And that's the only way to really gather strong data and understand what your audience is going to like is to try it. So I think as long as it's of course within bounds and you do that gut check, you need to be able to gut check, your humor, because I might find something funny and someone else might not. So you run it across a couple people, make sure it fits within your brand guidelines, and then try it. See what works with your audience.
Going on things or the narrative of, let's assume it doesn't work. So let's say it goes all wrong. Have you ever had a humorous post backfire or be misinterpreted? How did you handle it and what was the learning?
Yeah, I have been thankful thus far. This has not happened to me yet, but it can
Good.
happen. It can happen for sure. I was a little bit worried. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit worried with the Taylor Swift album post. I was like, are people gonna get this or not? But it ended up going okay. I think if things go wrong in the sense of maybe you posted something and it was interpreted as offensive, then you have to be as honest and transparent as possible and clear it up immediately. You need to acknowledge and clarify your intent and pivot. Humor should never come at the expense of empathy. So I think you just be very transparent and clear and honest and apologetic if it's wrong in that way. And then on the other end, if the post just like doesn't perform and didn't land, it's okay. Like you don't delete it or anything as long as it's not offensive or anything like that. Just roll with it and take it as a learning. Both ways it should be taken as a learning. You should always ask, could have this been interpreted the wrong way? If someone screenshots with no context. So that could be like your question going forward as you're testing. If you have something like that happen to you, just always do multiple gut checks, run it by people, and try to get outside of your own head and your own thinking and think, if I saw this, what would I think? So that's kind of what I would say about that. Hopefully doesn't
That
happen.
does
But
answer it. It wouldn't. If you have so many gut checks, I'm pretty sure it's never gonna happen.
yeah.
Touch wood on the good score. I've seen one or two campaigns fail. Not exactly fail, but they were misconstrued by the target audience. And while the customers liked it because they understood the brand and the brand voice, the newer audience did not really get it. What I really liked about, how they tackled that entire backlash was they actually clarified it with another social post. They
Yeah.
didn't just, randomly take it down. They were
Right.
like, humor is subjective, and this is exactly what we meant. So, they tried to convey how they could be thinking about a subject in a certain way, and the
Yeah.
audience is free to think about it in an X way. And they're not here to influence, but this is what they meant. And I really loved how proactively the social media managers tackled the comments. And there was no negative comment that was not responded to. Everything was responded to. It was a beautifully done campaign. I'm forgetting this was because this was roughly about an year and a half back when we were working with a social listening tool, and we were just monitoring the brand because we wanted to see, because they were somebody who were doing social media marketing pretty aggressively, so we wanted to see the good and the bad that they were doing. This was really well executed by them.
Yeah, that's great. I think the worst thing that you could possibly do in that situation would be to just take the post down and not respond to anything. So I think you're right. You need to go through and there shouldn't be a single negative comment that isn't responded to. And you should be, again, like as transparent as possible and just be really honest. Like we're all people, we make mistakes. It's gonna happen. It's okay. People will forgive you. So as long as you acknowledge it and you're honest and you're transparent.
Coming on to one topic that probably is full on your feed because it is on mine. Looking ahead, like with the shifts of AI generated content and meme templates which are flooding our feeds, how can brands keep their humor fresh and authentic instead of a copy paste funny?
Yeah. I think you have to be really careful with AI. I think we all are using it. A lot of us have to. It helps really make our workflows a lot easier, but I think you still need to be sure what you're doing is original because a lot of that time that copy paste does happen and it dilutes originality. People don't want to be scrolling on their feed and see the same variation of the same meme 10 times in a row. So I think like for us, for example, this happens with trends too. If the trend goes really popular and people just copy and paste it, I think you have to start looking at it in the lens of your own brand and making it original to you and making it make sense for, for Hyperproof, for whoever. So I think taking a step back, pausing, thinking for a moment, and editing it to be original and relatable to you and for it to make sense is something you can do to continue to keep it original. And also another thing you can do is rely on people within your organization who would be in your ICP or people who have a lot of industry knowledge and ask them, hey, I saw this. I think it's cool. I want to do it. How can we make this our own? What ideas do you have? And then you brainstorm back and forth and you get something that's original and not just, kind of regurgitated from what everybody else is doing.
I do see, like, for instance, SEMrush has some of the best memes out
Yeah.
there. And then, I mean, their marketing team is like on top of memes. I sometimes just feel that, probably there is one department that just does memes, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just doing like social media marketing in general. And their memes are so original that every single time you come across it, and you're like, yeah, I want to share that, or kind of want to create a version of it. But then again, that comes down to overly copy pasted as well. For instance, I think there are a couple of memes around SEO, AI SEO, etc., which are doing rounds, and it's so repetitive that you just see the visual and you're like, you no longer want to read the post, even if the post has
Yeah.
something really unique to offer.
I totally I'm so glad you brought that up because we actually take a lot of inspiration from SEMrush because they do such a great job on social media. So they're one of the brands that we take a lot of inspiration from. And I just recently did this. They posted like a marketer calendar, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so funny. I want to do that. And so we recreated it in a similar way, but we made the graphic ourselves. We weren't like using a template. We put everything in our brand. We tweaked it a little bit and we added like an extra month that's like was kind of funny and relatable to our audience. So that's an example of how you can kind of like take inspiration from something but make it your own and keep it original to your brand. I think it's really important because like you're saying, I've seen like the same GEO versus SEO meme on my LinkedIn feed over and over, and I'm just like, can we please do something a little bit more original? So totally get that.
So, for the marketers listening, what's your framework or process for testing humorous content before publishing to ensure it lands well without losing its spark? I mean, I know that you spoke about a gut check, right? But within, let's say, B2B companies or SaaS companies, we see too many cooks in the kitchen too often, right? So, let's assume there are six stakeholders that have feedback on the same meme or the same humorous post. How do you set a framework that's designed for efficiency and relevancy at the same time? Because that meme's not going to hold true 1 month down the line.
Totally. Yeah, I think first of all, being transparent in the fact that social media is very trend based, you have to be honest and say this cannot be caught up in review for a week. Like we have to move fast on this. I have this written out. I've ran it by one of our internal SMEs. I feel confident in it. Can you give it a gut check by the end of the day? If you don't review it, I'm running with it. I'm posting it. So I think that's the process. If you have a coworker that you have like a good relationship with and you work really well with, a lot of the times I'll just run it by one of my close coworkers and get a quick gut check on it because I know I can always trust them with that. But yeah, I think just being really transparent about the time sensitivity because again, it does age faster, right? If it's 2 weeks old, it's not relevant anymore. And then just running it by myself again. Is this true to our brand and our audience? Does this make sense? Yes. Okay. I trust myself to know our audience and to be able to effectively run our social media and to have this land. So that's kind of my framework. I know there are people who unfortunately have to experience a lot of red tape around getting stuff live. I'm lucky to not be in that situation as much, but I think if you are, I think you just need to make a case for the importance of why this is so important. It's relatable, it drives revenue for the business, and really try again to be like trends move so fast and we have to get this live. It cannot stay in review and no review cycle for weeks. So
I
yeah.
think I think one of the things that we've done, which kind of covers what you said, right, which is peer review, but at the same time, like when we're building out social strategies, we get a gut check from the stakeholders.
Yeah.
How open are they to risks, right? How open are they to actually being funny or
Yeah.
being witty about something? If they
Exactly.
are too sensitive about subjects, we actually don't take it up because we kind of know that it's going to block social media growth because they're going to keep thinking about it, revisiting that post 1,000 times. It's really never going to move the needle. So then we end up choosing the regular stuff for social media instead of the witty sort of content. There is one little question that, because I've been reading the last couple of days, I had a very nice downtime during my viral. So my best pastime was reading books and reading algorithm changes.
Yeah.
One of the things that I did read was that social media now also has an impact on how the brands show up on search. And by search, I mean search everywhere, right? ChatGPT, Perplexity, search, organic.
Yeah.
How have you adapted to that? Have you seen any such number movements that have happened because Hyperproof is doing such a good case with their social media?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I again feel really lucky that I get to be the owner of both of those channels because I'm able to move very quickly and make sure that we're adapting our social content to be around maybe common queries that we're seeing on LLMs. And also we recently reactivated like our Instagram and our Facebook because Instagram content is now indexable by Google. So you want to make sure that you're showing up in as many ways as possible, especially in the age of AI search. It's changing the journey so much. So you really want to make sure that, you're continuing to be authentic to your social strategy and doing that the right way, but also maybe pivoting a little bit to kind of satisfy some of those common queries that you're seeing in your data. It's hard to get any data from that just yet. Still a little early. We are definitely making some traction in AI search visibility, which I'm happy to see. And I think a lot of that is because of being across so many channels. It's really helpful.
Quick note for everybody listening to this: social media isn't just about posting, it is about optimization, and it's important now.
It's all
It's really, really important now.
totally. Social media, I think people forget, like, it's so many things. It can also be a community. Social media can be a community. It helps with your search channels. It helps with everything. It helps with your brand perception. Like, it's really, I think it's such an undervalued channel in a lot of ways, and I'm really passionate about that. So I think just realizing the importance of social is going to be like so key in the coming years, especially with how much AI search and things are just changing the way marketers work. Yeah.
Okay, so since you're a social media manager, I have a quick rapid fire
Yeah,
for you.
do it.
Yeah. Okay. Um, Funniest brand on social media right now.
Okay. Duolingo is absolutely hilarious on social media. I don't know if you saw, they went super viral on TikTok.
It is.
Yeah, I know. They are killing it. I also honorable mention the way that the NFL and ESPN are marketing to like a female audience is absolutely incredible to watch as well. I think they're doing some hilarious stuff. If you just go on TikTok and you see a meme, like you'll see all these brands in a comment section on a viral post. Like social media is everywhere, especially on TikTok, are just killing it. Like I think everyone is being so hilarious, so relatable. It's hard to pick one, but I'm gonna call out Duolingo just because I think that their viral moment is just gold.
They have been constantly evolving their wit game.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like they never run out of jokes. They've been doing this for years now, and it's just getting better by the day.
yeah,
Okay, next question: meme, GIF, or snappy one-liners? What's your usual go-to format?
yeah. Well, from a data perspective, I would say a meme just because visuals do tend to carry a bit faster. I love a good content carousel, specifically like a meme woven into that. But in my personal opinion, I'm a big fan of a snappy one-liner. I think I love seeing like what HubSpot and SEMrush do a lot, where they just post like quick one-line, little text-only posts on LinkedIn. I think those are hilarious. So, but from a performance perspective, I would say a meme.
I kind of agree with memes, and I think I've started to experiment a little with those one-liners as well. I'm still kind of in both the boats. A social media trend you wish would disappear forever.
Yeah, this is a hard one. I might hurt some people's feelings with this one, but I really hate when someone like gives this like really specific like personal anecdote and then they're like, "Here's what it taught me about B2B sales." I'm like, I this is just not, I don't know. Like I think there's a line to toe there. I think sometimes it works, but I've seen some where it's like, my wife and I got divorced. Here's what it taught me about B2B sales. I'm like, that's not it. So I think that's one that I'm kind of just like, we can maybe not do this anymore. Find a way to reinvent how we're doing this.
100% agree. I think it's something that I've actually called out a couple of times during my workshops or even on my LinkedIn posts.
Yeah.
Not every personal anecdote is meant for LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Because you got married, great news, but it doesn't have to turn into a lesson. You can post
Yeah.
it on Instagram. There are other
Yeah.
channels for it.
Yeah.
And I mean, my feed is full of it. I mean, we
Yeah.
went through a divorce. This is what it taught me about even being an entrepreneur for that matter, right? I am one, and I know that my life hasn't been really all a rose bed of sorts, but I don't keep dwelling in pity, and I think that's another trend that I want to kind of get off it, because somebody mentioned how storytelling is important, which it is, right? But they never said pity was important. I mean, there is a lot of pity partying happening on social media, and then there is the other side that you just mentioned, which is turning irrelevant posts into something just because the platform demands you to be there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. One B2B brand that is absolutely killing it with humor. You said Duolingo. It's going to be B2C,
Yeah,
even
that's good.
B2B. Somebody who's supposed to be serious but isn't serious.
Oh, I think there's so many. It's kind of hard. I really love what Hootsuite is doing on LinkedIn. I also love SEMrush and HubSpot and their B2B strategy. So there's so many that I take inspiration from, but I think a lot of like the B2B marketing platforms are doing such a great job. And it's really cool to watch.
Related to what you do on the daily, which is, what if Hyperproof had a mascot? What would it be and why?
Oh yeah. Okay, this is a good one. This goes out to my coworker Brian. He loves quokkas. So if we had a mascot, it would definitely be a quokka. But it's also relatable because they really do truly fit hyperproof. Like they're really friendly and curious creatures. And we like to say like we're very friendly, we're curious, we like to ask questions, and they're also literally the cutest things you've ever seen in your life. So I feel like that definitely makes for us. So that would be our mascot for sure.
I think we've been thinking about a mascot for quite some time, and we keep fluctuating between this meme. I don't know if you've seen it, but there's this little cartoon kind of a girl that has her hand raised, where it's used very commonly for, what do the clients want? Everything. When do
Mm.
we want it? Now. So we're like, we're like, maybe we should have something like that so that we can constantly keep using it as a mascot across our services and content.
Right.
But yeah, and then the other side is that we just want to be a sloth.
Yeah.
So that, that the teams know that we're available, but we're not always available. So maybe we can't say it. So let's show it to them. They're just general slots. Just stay away.
I love that. I've also for us pictured like our little circle logo. It's like three circles and like a little mascot, like you would see at like a ball game or something, where it's like a little person and it has like a face on it. But I'm like, that feels like a little bit creepy. So I always just like default to the quack.
That would be better. Yes, that would be at
Yeah,
least cute to talk to. Sure.
exactly.
So let's say you had to give one takeaway for social media marketers, or generally marketers, right, who are working with B2B brands, let's say the boring brands, to bring this conversation to a close. What is that one tip that goes into your graduation book?
Oh, that's a hard question. I feel like it's always hard for me to pick just one thing. I just think my biggest tip and piece of advice is don't be scared to try things and take risk as long as it's within bounds. I think the only way to really truly understand like what your audience is gonna want to see, what's gonna work well, is to try it. And so I think even if you think something might not be relatable, again, we're all people. And if you think like that person in your ICP isn't scrolling on TikTok seeing that meme at 9 o'clock at night, you might be wrong. They are. And so you might be able to repurpose that in the lens of your own brand and brand guidelines, and it might be really successful. So I think just get creative, give stuff a try. Don't be scared as long as, you've talked it through with stakeholders and they're good with it. Try stuff. It's fun.
I think marketing guidelines really need to have this one line which says, get creative, try stuff, because unless you're doing that, where's the creativity in marketing? I feel everything
Yeah,
just looks like a general copy paste these days. But
right.
that's a good one. That's a
Yeah.
good one. Well, that is all I had for you. Is there anything that you'd like to ask me instead?
Ooh, I'll ask you, what is one of your favorite trends that you're seeing on social media right now?
One of the bestest trends, I would say, is honestly employee amplification.
Mm,
Everybody's hyper focusing on how the company page looks, etc. But I'm really liking the new spin that's coming in with employees getting featured in posts, also employees using their own profiles to get a message across. And because everybody has this very unique tone of voice, right, you're able to see that content even like 5 times. You're not bored, you get a new perspective every single time. That is one direction that I'm really really liking, and we're trying to kind of activate it for a lot of the projects that we're working on, because those individual voices are way more powerful than those company paid social media posts. So I'm kind of liking that trend. I don't know where it's going to go, because if everybody starts to do it, we're going to have 5 posts, same topic, same company every single time. I don't know where it would go, but right now it's really
Right?
nice.
I am so glad you brought that up because I didn't even think to talk about that, but I'm such a big fan of that trend as well. I think it's really important. And LinkedIn literally just recently updated their algorithm to favor like personal profiles over company page content. So I think that's a trend to watch, especially over the next little bit. But you're right, everyone brings a different perspective. Like a founder and CEO point of view is going to be a lot different than maybe like a product person's point of view versus like your chief marketing officer's point of view. And I think it's really cool to see all those perspectives, especially if you're doing like a particular launch or something really important, like a campaign to focus on. It's really cool to get that cross-functional perspective. So I love that trend. I'm a big fan.
It's rapid testing as well, so you can
Yeah,
actually test different tone of voice, different humor,
totally.
different weight, and figure out which post worked better. Copy
Yeah.
paste after that. Yeah, that's it. Well, it was great talking to you today, Maggie. I think that's all I will have for you today, but I may want to bug you later on with something even more specific. Maybe the next time we could talk about channel specific strategies as well, because that's something that I'd like to deep dive on.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That sounds great.
All right.